Well, it's been a long time. The last book, which is also available at the table, which is called Studio Space, came out in 2008 from Image. So it's 11 years, rather scarily. So this book was supposed to have been out last year. It would have been 10 years, but it's taken 11 years from when that came out to the follow-up. So it has been, I mean, we put the first book together. It was a little bit of a nightmare. There were various things. We lost the original publisher, so it switched to another publisher. There's a thing called fair use in American law, where you're allowed to use a certain amount of images from one particular copyright holder, but most of the places, they won't specify how many images you're allowed to use. So it's this weird grey area. But this one was a little bit smoother. I mean, we lost some artists. We were supposed to have Howard Chaykin in it, and Howard decided not to be part of it for whatever reason. We did mix things up a bit. We added Frank Cho and Tim Sale into the mix, which obviously they're great artists. And we mixed things up a little bit, but it was relatively painless. I mean, books are never painless, but comparatively speaking.
But you told me, I mean, you were telling me it took you 3 years to put it together, because obviously you've taken a lot of the photos, all the photographs.
Well, nearly all the photos, yeah. And I went up to visit the artists.
Yeah.
And I've done all the interviews. I sourced a lot of the art as well, which was quite a challenge. And also trying to find art, and not just to find the art, but to work out where it's from. With certain artists like Manara, you know, because I don't speak Italian, so, you know, having to do a little bit of detective work. And some people are easier than others, because some people there are my friends, like Walt Simonson is a friend, and Kaluta I've been to visit, and it was very interesting. It was a very different, experience. The last book, I was away for about 3 months in the States, and I had this incredible trip where I went to visit Tim Bradstreet, and I went to visit Tommy Edwards and George Pratt and Walt Simonson, and I can't even remember, there was like 5 or 6 artists. I did a trip from east to west, Adam Hughes as well. So that was like a 3-week trip away, whereas this was more of a gradual process. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, you know, if you write a novel, there's always a certain amount of research. And the fact you've got all of these photographs, the fact you've got all of these interviews, the fact that you've got, I mean, they're lovely photographs as well. And as you said, you've got all of these people from America, from Britain, from all
exactly, from Italy.
And was that always the case? Was that always the idea to have a follow-up book, or was this something that came in a different form, different evolution?
Well, no, I think I always wanted to do another one. I mean, despite the problems that we had with the first one, I really enjoyed it. I like looking at people's workspaces. I mean, we did it on Tripwire. We went to visit. We did it with Simon Davis, Roger Langridge, Fraser Irving, I think, as well. So it always fascinates me, because it's interesting to look at where people work, because it's a weird thing where stuff is there for comfort for their work, but it also reflects and it also influences the work that they create. So it's like a double-edged thing.
Do they have much in common, or are they quite? Yeah, is there a thread that links them all together?
Well,
or are
I mean,
they quite different?
They are quite different. I mean, you know, for this book, for example, Frank Quietly, Vince's studio is tiny. I mean, it's literally he shares a room with, and there's Sean Phillips.
Yes.
With two other people. Welcome, Sean. Take
No, by all means, Sean. I don't often do too much sitting down.
Sorry, I'm late. That's all right.
We knew you were coming from another panel. Anyway.
So it's all good.
No, I was told it was 4 o'clock.
Oh
shit.
Yeah.
I think we swapped it. We made it earlier. Yeah. I admit, apologies, Sean.
Well, I appreciate you've come, and I'm glad you've got a drink. Anyway, carry on.
So yeah, they're very different. So Vince's studio is tiny. Sean's is a really nice space next to his house, which is purpose-built. Or conversion, was it conversion, basically? It's a really nice open space. Kaluta's flat, he works in his flat, it's completely insane. I was talking to someone else about this. He has bits of kind of airplanes in there and old auction catalogues. And his house is like a treasure trove of stuff. And then Walt has an amazing house. He's got one of the best libraries I've ever seen, all this reference material. And he's got original art from
all the mythology.
Kirby and Robert McGuinness and all these amazing things. Because a lot of artists, they swap. I mean, obviously you're familiar with that, Sean, but you know, trades, a lot of people do trades.
Yeah.
But, so Walt's got a great house. Posy Simmons lives in King's Cross, and she's got a really nice house. She has a studio, and her husband works as a graphic designer sort of next to her. So, I mean, I guess everyone's studio is different. That's what's interesting. Like years ago, for the first book, I interviewed Bradstreet. He's got a human skeleton in his studio, and all these amazing photo books in his house. And like Hubert was at school. everyone is different, and I guess they're tailored to suit their workspace and their work patterns.
Well, we'll ask Laurence and Sean about that. Laurence, I suppose, you know, has your workspace evolved over the years? Do you need those creature comforts that we all love, that psychic satisfaction, if you like?
Yeah, when I first started drawing comics, my dad just made me 2 pieces of wood that would slot together, and then a drawing board on top, as it were. So it was all handmade, and it was a bit wobbly, and I just started drawing. And then I'd have to, because it was my bedroom, I'd have to take it down every night to put it all away so that I could go to bed and things like that kind of thing.
And what, you were 42 at the time?
Yeah. and then I kind of moved on later on. So I was drawing at that period. Then we bought a house, and this is the difficult part where I wanted to buy an extra room. I wanted a big enough house to turn one of the rooms into a studio kind of thing. So me and Natalie, we could have, I guess, lived in a 1-bedroom house, but I wanted a 2-bedroom house so I could have the studio. So we done that, and then we moved again, and again I bought a 3-bedroom house kind of thing, and again converted one of those, and that was a really small room. It was just long and thin, and I just had my books along one side and then my drawing board, but my drawing board was set up permanently with a light box and whatever else. And then we moved again, and then I converted the garage just into the studio, and I built a kind of a glass room that then connected to the house, as it were. So kind of, and that's now I'm very happy, as it were. So I've got all my props there in there kind of thing, so toy guns. Yeah. Well, the weird thing also is that I never used to collect figures, and I never was into any of that. I was just into just comics and just a piece of, like, some pieces of original art. Yeah. And I was not into figures. I wasn't into any of that stuff. And then suddenly I became like 45, and I've suddenly started buying figures, and I don't know what's going on, to be honest. I'm now buying all these kind of things that I've just never bought before. So yeah, I've suddenly cropped in that I've suddenly got, I think some of them I buy out of reference. So when I was drawing Marvel, Wolverine versus Marvel Universe, it was just easier to, I just went on eBay and I just bought a job lot of like Marvel figures that were about that big, costumes, and I just bought a job lot of those, and that was, then I've got a 3D version of that character's kind of uniform, as it were, kind of thing. So that was just easy to do that. And since then, I've just started escalating and built more out of hand.
And what about you, Sean? Because obviously, other than toy guns, right? And there's Lawrence's picture.
I look quite happy.
You look moody, rather.
Blue steel. How's your sort of workspace evolved over the years?
Well, I started very similar to Laurence. I was 15 when I first started doing professionally.
Wow.
So my dad built me a drawing.
Oh, really? No,
really? Like a hinged one on the wall, so it's
right,
a slope, but it's sort of big piece of chipboard that sort of hinged back down, and I had like a shelf above it which had like my 4 books and a bottle of ink and brushes and stuff like that. And that was, then I went to college when I was 18, so that I stopped that bit. But, you know, up until then, that was all done in the bedroom, and I just thought that's what you did. When I went to college, I went to Preston to do graphics rather than
someone has to go to Preston, don't they?
Well, Brian Talbot also went there about 10 years previous to me. I think he's about 10 years older than me. And he still lived in Preston at the time. So my lecturer, the one lecturer that actually thought comics was quite good, because he was an illustrator as well on the side, so he had a bit more of a, he wasn't quite as snobby as the rest of them. He goes, oh, I know someone who draws comics, why don't you go around and see him? So I did a couple of pages of Judge Dredd, which are in my art book, if you've ever seen that. Rolled up a piece of paper. I took a friend with me because I was a bit nervous about going.
Yeah.
He wasn't particularly into comics, but and I went around to see Brian, and he had, like, the front room in his house, it was like he had like a big Victorian, quite long house. There'd be like a sitting room, another sitting room, kitchen, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the first sitting room was his studio, and it was all fitted bookcases, and he had like those EC box sets of like the old EC comics. And I thought, this is what I want, a room just to draw it in. There isn't a bed in the corner, or my brother, or, you know, it's just
cramped.
Yeah, you know, just, and that sort of like got me going. But when I left college, I moved to London to a small 2-bedroom flat, and I had my studio in one of the rooms, and then I had a baby, so I had to get a studio somewhere else. So some friends of ours had like the whole house up the street. We had like the top half of the house converted flat, but our friends had like the whole house and had a spare room. So I had a studio in there for about a year until I flooded their house. Then they asked me kindly to leave.
Hold on. Let's just slow down. You can't go past that.
We want to know.
Well, it was while I was doing stuff for 2000. I was drawing Devon in Waterman. the time painted. So I had to clean the paintbrushes, so I went to the bathroom to clean the paintbrushes, and no water came out the tap. I'd already put the plug in, and no water. Bloody hell. Okay, so I went back into the studio, carried on, and put the music on nice and loud, and like for 4 or 5 hours, I thought, I'll go back again. And all of a sudden, like, for some reason, the water had been turned out in the street, turned off in the street. And then I turned it back on, and because the tap was on,
a big whoosh.
and it just like, it'd been going for hours, and it just like totally wrecked the room below, all through the electrics, and I was dripping out the light fittings, and I thought, oh, and they came home late that night, but I'd left alone saying, you know, don't turn the lights on because they're all wet. And the guy whose house it was, Carl, he's like 6'4", and quite intimidating. He came around, I thought he was actually going to kill me, but they were okay in the end. They got a really inflated quote from insurance and
made money out.
Inconvenience. We are still friends, but you know, the inconvenience of it's whole.
You can laugh about it now, I assume. Well, maybe you
I'm not going to mention it to him. I'm not going to And then when I left London and I moved to Yorkshire and got a big house that had 2 spare rooms. It was a 3-storey house. On the top floor, one room was a kitchen, a bedroom for one of my kids, and there was 2 other rooms. I had one for like drawing and painting, full of shelves with books, and then I had another room just for the computer. This is like 25 years ago when the internet was just coming in the house. So I rented my computer from Radio Rentals.
No way!
Radio Rentals,
which isn't around anymore. And you know, and got a 14.4 modem, so like, you know, take 20 minutes to get like a picture of a naked lady come down. But
for reference, of course.
Yeah. And yeah, so because I didn't do much computer work, it was just really internet. I didn't draw on it, didn't have a tablet or anything like that. It was before all those things were around. And it gave me a bit. It kept the internet separate to my workspace, which I think I wish I'd do now because I spend all my time. With, you know, my computer. I work on the computer to connect to the internet, and I've got my iPad there, and Twitter's scrolling past all the time.
Oh, really? You got it like that? To stop distractions?
About 6 months ago, I did. I took all the apps off my everything and said, you know, if you see me on Twitter, tell me to go. Because I shouldn't be here. I've got too much work to do. But then it sort of crept back in, and now I'm out all the bloody time.
I check when I make a cup of tea. That's the only time. So I'm drawing.
How many cups of tea do you have a day?
7, 18.
And I kind of. So I don't know.
No, I live for those pings, you know.
Oh, do you? I don't do pings. I kind of, I check it.
I mean,
I just ignore it until I have a cup of tea. And then I sit down and have a cup of tea, and that's when I serve. Like,
sometimes I think it'd be nice to have a studio out of the house. You know, I've got that book. Everyone's seen the book The Studio, where like Jeff Jones and Bernie Wrightson and Barry Smith and the other guy sharing a studio in the 70s in New York. You think, and it's all right, full of like peacock feathers and skulls, and think, oh, that'd be the way to do it. But I think if I shared a space with other people, I'd just spend more time talking.
Yeah.
Certainly the stories I've heard of that studio space in the 70s, sort of New York, it was a lot of partying and maybe not as much work going on.
Will is coming, by the way.
That's
he didn't know he was supposed to be here.
No, it's probably the 4 o'clock thing, not to worry. He can just fit in on the conversation.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you do the same routine pretty much every day? Because my routine is pretty much every day the same thing, kind of thing.
What is that then? Because I'm having a gap year from teaching. Right. And my routine is awful because I thought I'd been very creative this year. I haven't been.
Okay.
I'd be really interested to know from
on an ideal week, yes.
Okay.
Like Mondays, I'd do my thumbnail. I'd tell Ed that I want 8 pages of script every Monday.
Right. Okay.
I'd never get them. But, you know, ideally, I might get 6, which messes up my whole schedule for the week.
Right.
Oh, okay.
He goes, I'll get you 6 pages of money, but 2 on Tuesday. I said, no, that doesn't work like that. I need it. Yeah. So like on a Monday, ideally, I'd thumbnail and shoot a photograph for 8 pages.
Okay.
And then I can draw 2 pages a day for the rest of the week and get through it.
Okay.
Whereas if I've only got like 5 pages to thumbnail, that stretches to fill the day.
Do you thumbnail then the whole book in one go?
No, I've never had a whole script in one go.
Oh, you've never?
8 pages at a time.
You don't know where the book. You don't know where the story's going. So you don't know whether you need to set up a scene for later on.
Sometimes he might tell me, "Oh, this place will come back later."
Okay.
Or sometimes I'll ask him, "Is this place important?" He goes, "Oh, I don't know yet."
Right.
Jeez. As an artist,
I don't know any of the stories.
Yeah.
I told Ed never to tell me what happens.
Right.
Apart from Kill Me Killed, I knew how that ended when we started.
Right.
But I didn't know how he was going to get there. And also halfway through he says, "Oh, I had a better idea, I'm going to change it." And then when he got to the end, he goes, "Oh no, I changed it back to the original idea."
Okay.
So.
But I think you've been working with Ed for so long now. Surely there's a certain simpatico that you can trust him, or do you want to be surprised as a reader yourself?
I do. That's one of the reasons why. Well, partly that because I want to get to it fresh. Think, "Oh yeah, this is really good," and then. Also, I don't want to think that, oh God, in 6 months' time I know I've got to draw that really hard bit. I don't know until the day before. That's much better. But
That's interesting.
I don't know. If I was like even the graphic novel that we did last year, I didn't get the whole script in one go for that. I got like 8 pages, and then he was trying to keep up with the drawing all the way through, which is always how it is. But sometimes I think if I had the whole script in one go for like a 60-page story, maybe I could build 3D models if I needed to, do some proper research. But it's never like that. It's all on the fly. I mean, I never do character designs. When I'm penciling the book, there'll be an oval for that character.
Right.
And then when it comes to inking it, I'll think, well, they should look like this, or because by then, hopefully, I've got a little bit more script. I've got a bit more idea of what the character's like.
Yeah, I think.
And also, they're all real life people. I don't need to design an outfit or anything like that.
Yes.
But you know, you say real life people, you still have to create an outfit of some sort, don't you?
Yeah,
like,
and you think about
they've got
what
like a
they're
stripe
wearing,
going across here, so that you're able to identify them in a shorthand version, kind of thing. So they do wear a costume.
But you know, I don't have to
not
design a robot or nothing because we don't do that sort of stuff.
But you're quite regimental then. I mean, Lawrence,
I'm
interested.
That's why I was asking if there are people out there who just kind of wake up whatever time. I'm partly regimental in the way that I like to go. I went through a phase where I wasn't pretty much leaving the house and I was just drawing all the time, and that became incredibly unhealthy.
Yeah, yeah.
So now I'd like to do. This sounds really middle aged and stuff, but like I make sure I have to do a walk like twice a day, kind of.
Twice? Okay.
I only do one day.
I walk with my son to school. He probably doesn't like it.
No.
He's at the age where
he's 18, isn't he?
but it gets me out, it gets me kind of walking or whatever else, and then I kind of meet him later on. So they're like half-hour walks. So all in all, that's about 10,000 steps, which is good for me. Exactly. So I tick that box. And then other than that, also, I listen to the same radio station every day. I find that when I was in my...
Six Music?
No.
No?
No, sure. I used to listen to music,
like radio. Middle-aged answer now.
In my 30s. I've now gone to talk radio, kind of
really?
talk radio station. So all it is just people talking in the background. And I was talking to Jamie Delano about this. I listen to radio stations that annoy me, so that I get wound up, and then I kind of fire myself up. I get really, so I start arguing with the radio station, and I do this every day for 5 days. And I kind of, when I'm not drawing, I kind of miss getting annoyed with the radio kind of thing. So
I can't read Private Eye because it gets me angry.
Well, that's it.
I can't do it.
But I want to be angry.
I like Private Eye.
I get that from
And
Twitter.
it gets me angry as well.
But Jamie was talking about it. He used to do it. He gets angry about Radio 4, and he said that when he was writing Hellblazer, he used to listen to Radio 4, and he used to get him out of bed because he used to get annoyed with it.
I went to Radio 4 once, a couple of years ago. I did some drawings for, when they adapted Good Omens as a radio play.
Yes,
I did some drawings for the website, and we hadn't been in London, my wife and I, and we thought we'd go in and see the producer who commissioned me, just to say hello, get her face known, so she might give me some more work. And she took us on a tour around the radio part of BBC, and we went in to see the continuity announcement on Radio 4.
Right.
And it's like, she's in a little room, she's got headphones on that, and we were told, and but she finished her little bit, and then we got chatting. She goes, right, in 20 seconds I'm going to start and say another bit on the radio. So we were like, she was talking like really sort of relaxed and casual, and then pinged up to the pips or whatever, and then she suddenly and like she went into like full on like
RP,
RP, BBC Radio 4, and then for like 30 seconds, then the light went off, and she went, oh, blah, 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 back to normal. It was really weird.
That's a weird way of working, isn't it?
And she just sits in that little room and just like pipes up every 20 minutes.
Every now and then.
I mean, Sienkiewicz told me, because he's in the book as well.
He
works till like 6 in the evening, and he told me when he used to live on the East Coast, he would do this thing where he would work until like 3 or 4 in the morning, and he'd drive home and he'd see like the clock from the flour mill sort of he had really weird working practices, and he'll pull ridiculously long shifts to get work finished. And actually somebody that I know, who was it talking to me saying that Sienkiewicz wants a studio, but actually it was Tom Coker, he wants a studio that he can basically destroy. So he's working in there and he's doing all this stuff, he's throwing paint around, and he wants a space that he can basically completely obliterate while he's working. And so he can't just rent everywhere, he wants to buy somewhere that he can basically destroy over a period of a number of years.
I think one of the things about the routine and stuff, I think Lawrence and I both got kids, you've got kids, haven't you?
But they're old.
Well, yeah, 2 of mine are left home now, but
they left and came back.
But you need, if you just sit in your room and draw, which is what I do, if I'm at home by myself, if everyone's gone away for a couple of days, I get up, work until I go to sleep.
Yeah.
And if there wasn't a family around where they make, even if when I with them I annoy them, they still got to feel like you've got to do a bit, otherwise you go mental, wouldn't you? So
I kind of, there's been times when Jehovah's Witnesses knocked on the door.
and you've invited
No,
me to talk.
I'm not quite inviting them in, but at the end they've made their excuses to leave rather than because I just needed somebody to talk to because I'm just like on
Going
my
stir
own for
crazy.
good
It's a very
couple of
unhealthy
days.
job because we love it. You do it all the time.
Yeah.
And
Are you a slave to the job, do you think, at times? Or slave to,
Slave to
a
the
slave
work.
to your passion, should I say?
Yeah, a bit. I mean, I try not to work weekends, but sometimes you have
It's
to.
impossible. Yeah, it really is.
I'd like to work all the time.
Yeah,
but,
well,
you know,
but this is the
I'd be
thing. Like,
exhausted.
you do.
So,
well, I don't
sometimes
know.
that's it.
Well, you think
Sometimes
about
they
it,
leave you
otherwise.
alone. You know,
Yeah.
they're quite happy with the fact that you actually work.
Yeah, whenever my wife comes in the studio, it's like, what's happened? What's wrong? She never ever comes in. My wife's a painter. She's just given up her studio in the town and just moved back home to paint at home.
It's getting
And
your
she's
way.
like, you can't. No, she's like telling me up because I'm like, what are you doing?
Just leave me alone. I hate
She
you,
says like,
basically.
it's like I'm there every 20 minutes, but I'm sure it's not that bad.
Right.
But, you know, otherwise I'm just talking to the cats.
Nothing wrong
Or
with
shouting
that.
at the radio.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. They're great
To me, it
listeners.
was the biggest from kind of because I used to teach part time and draw comics kind of thing, and the biggest when I decided to just draw comics, the biggest thing was being on your own, and
Yeah.
because I wasn't, being on your own is a really difficult. I think it's a serious and quite a difficult thing because you know there's a nasty part in your head that can kind of bring in self doubt or kind of
Oh, we've all
you
got
know
that.
within your work and things like that, and you've got you know. You can't listen to that too much, so you have to shut that down or
Yeah.
whatever else kind of thing. So it's not for everyone. There's a lot, I know kind of freelancers that have left, not kind of gone back to doing another job because they can't deal with the loneliness.
Yeah, I mean,
of,
I've
you know,
been
working
sat in a
on
room by myself for nearly 40 years now, and taken out of contact like that.
your own. Yeah,
I should be a total freak.
it's like a
but,
prison
you know,
sentence.
Sounds like a
but
prison
you get
sentence.
the release, like, you know, I get to
Day
talk
release.
all weekend,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
doing stuff like
Do you
this.
sense, I mean, if you keep your weekends free, do you then throw yourself into the weekend? Is that quite
God,
a
no.
structured week? No? You just stay happy to sort of sit back, chill out and take in the
No, I hate
world?
all that organised stuff. You know, a trip out with the family, God no.
I like to.
I like going to the cinema or something with them, but...
Okay, well my daughter, I mean she's only 13 but she's at an age where she doesn't want anything to do with me.
Of course not, no.
And I quite like that. I hated it for a while, but then I thought actually this can be a strength.
Yeah. Well, one of my sons, Jake, who colours my work,
Yeah.
he's, you know, he'd probably rather not be with me, but he has to be now because he's working for me.
And how does that work then? Does he have to come into your studio
Oh, no, he
space?
lives away, he lives in Manchester.
Okay,
So,
oh right.
no, I mean,
Great city.
But I've got 10 days with him in LA next week, week after next, for a festival. So we're going to be sort of squashed together. But he's there as a peer now.
Yes,
rather than my
yeah.
son. And you know, I think we get, you know, we do sociable stuff like, not like mates, because that's just a bit creepy when you're friends with your children, isn't it?
Yeah,
But, you know,
call me Ollie, don't call me Dad. Yeah.
just call me Sir.
Will, what's your work ethic? I mean, we were talking about the sort of the day to day. I mean, maybe your deadlines are a bit different to when you're working in comics and when you're working on Game of Thrones. How do you work? Because I know over in Belfast you've got a good, strong group of other artists, people like Ryan Brown and Glenn Fabry, who you meet from time to time. Does that help spur you on, or are you quite happy to live what is often a very solitary life for an artist?
God, it's kind of interesting when you bump into the other guys because, you know, they're normally very drunk and you sort of realise, no, I'm very much better off just getting on with my work because I don't want to be like these pair.
Not necessarily the two people you just said.
But I know Ryan.
It is the two people. It is exactly the two people he just said. No, don't worry about it. All right, Ryan. Glenn, you're here now.
Yeah, I look at Glenn, who's like, I think about 2 or 3 years older than me. I'm thinking,
Shit, no.
I think,
Jeez.
glad I didn't live like that.
Glenn is the Keith Richards of comic books. I mean, that is what he's like.
I met him in
Unbelievable.
the last UCAC in Manchester in '98. We got so drunk, it's the only time I've ever phoned sick from school. And I was that drunk in the morning, I set the same piece of work for different classes. I didn't realise. We also got our first widescreen TV that day, so I was quite happy. But yeah, he's quite notorious as a bit of a hellraiser, shall we say.
Well, he's nuts, basically, as simple as that. No, the thing is, you know, it's interesting hearing what the guys are saying because I have been very content to be working on my own for a long, long time, and I actually am now looking to move into the countryside where I can be even more on my own because I like it. I mean, there's wildlife about, that's all cool. I've got dogs, they're great. You know, Wendy doesn't mind it. She likes that sort of stuff. I mean, it's. You know, I had to give up my studio in Belfast recently because they were renovating the building that I was in, and I'd been there for like 5 years in that studio, and that had been after about 15 years in another one. And it kind of was really horrible because half my stuff went into a lockup, and the other half, which is all the artwork, ended up coming home with me. So I had to take over a space at home until I decide what I'm going to do next. And it's very, very weird sitting having to work at a table. It's almost like going back to student days or something. You know, you're perched up on a table in the middle of the flipping room, people walking around you. And the thing is, drawing is what it's all about with me. So you actually can make yourself draw no matter what is happening around you. I mean, I think all of the guys, whenever you're doing stuff like here, you know, you suddenly have this ability everything else zones out around you. You get on with what it is that you're doing, and that's the way it is when I'm working at home. The other thing is, when I was obviously doing the Game of Thrones stuff, that's a film job, so you have to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you work through to about 7 o'clock at night, and that's you in your box for the period of time, and mostly it's that. There wasn't very much else going on. And I hate that because I'm not a morning person. So the thing is, you know, it was a real effort to force myself into the 8 o'clock slot. And you see now that after it's all been done and dusted and I'm back to doing work from home, it's so fantastic. You get up at, you know, 9 or 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and you go down, you make your first 2 cups of tea, and you chill out, you watch a bit of TV, and then you get started on the work. And you know that you're probably going to work late with a few breaks in between, and then suddenly it's like 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning, and you're quite happy. It's the happy hour. You've been working away, and it's your own time because my clock is a late night clock. So I'm just enjoying myself at the moment and doing multiple things. You know, I finish give a certain job a certain period of time, and then I get on to the next one.
We were talking about social media, and do you like to be distracted? Or, I mean, Laurence was saying he'll check his social media when he's having a cup of tea, although we didn't find out how many cups of tea he had in there. Sean's got it sort of on part of the screen as well. I mean, are these pleasant distractions, or are these things that get in the way for you?
Sometimes they're pleasant distractions, sometimes they're not. I mean, it's just that thing, isn't it? I mean, there's some people pop up and you're really happy to hear from, and there's other people you're, oh, Jesus, do I really have to answer this now? How long can I put this off? I'm just like anybody else.
For all of us, though, it's our job. So
Yeah.
whatever works.
Yeah.
You've got to put the hours in.
do
It might
put
be
the hours in, yes.
11 till 4 in the morning, or it might be 9 to 5. You know, depends what what your situation is, I suppose. But you still got to put in, I don't know, 50 hours a week at least.
Well, the thing is, I love seeing movies, and the thing is, I love seeing movies when nobody else is about. So I like to go to the early morning screenings.
They're good. They're cheaper as well.
Well, yeah, but the point is, there's like you and maybe 3 people, and it's just brilliant. And then I come out and go to a coffee shop to do my thinking and working out my ideas, because there's something about a coffee shop that just does that. And then when you get home, that's when you're doing the work. And you've already done work, but you fooled yourself into thinking that it's not actually work. So it's actually brilliant, you know, the psychological tricks that make you keep drawing
Glenn is
all day
here,
long.
by the way.
What?
Glenn is actually here.
I thought he would.
Tim just sent me a text and said, trying to get Glenn in, and I said, it's fine if he wants to come in.
Like Laurence said, I do go for a walk every morning, like 7:30 till 8:30.
And he takes photographs, and then you look at the photographs.
I live in the Lake District, so I walk down to the sea, and I stand in the same spot, take a photo of the same mountain. Every day. I don't do, but only school days.
I find it fascinating, Sean, looking at your pictures, because it's really interesting to see the different weather.
Oh God, yeah.
You live in a really beautiful
it's mostly horrendous, the weather. You can't tell on the photos sometimes, but you can see the water's like whipping up like this because it's so windy. But yeah, I mean, that's my thinking time. I'm thinking a bit about. I try not to go on my studio before I go for the walk. Then I see what I did yesterday. I think, oh God, that's awful. So I'm thinking about the day ahead rather than what I've done. So today I'm going to be drawing this, that, and the other, and I'll do that. And I find it clears my head and gets me
It's
to
really
go.
cool.
And
Yeah.
you know, like Joel says, it's a nice spot. So I think, God, this is bloody great. I've got to carry on drawing. I'm going to live somewhere shit.
You see, this is why I want to get into the country.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I mean, I'm stuck in a town at the moment, and I have been for quite a while, and I just want to get out of it.
Really?
I
Absolutely.
loved it when I lived in London, though, but I was young and didn't have any kids.
But it's different. It's a big city.
And I was working for
That is
2000
completely
AD,
different.
so I'd
Yeah.
go into the office every week and deliver my pages.
Yeah.
And they'd say, "Oh, do you want to do this cover over the weekend?" I'd be like, "Yeah." So that I like that. And
So you
also
picked up work because you happened
yeah,
to be
but
kind of...
I'd make it so I got in there for Friday lunchtime, so we'd go down to the pub and we'd end up,
Yes.
we'd end up there till Friday evening, you know.
I used to deliberately fly over for that. Deliver the work.
Because
you know.
otherwise you're cooped up, not talking to anybody for a week, and you need
Yeah.
to do some release. Really.
Yeah, I mean, can it be quite I mean, like you say, I mean, I'm assuming you do listen to Radio 6.
No. I do, but not when I'm working. I can't listen to radio when I'm working. I
Is
can't.
it just
not even
No,
music then?
I listen to music.
Right, yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, on
Instrumental?
iTunes, yeah, quite a lot.
lyrics, I'm assuming the lyrics
No,
will
lyrics
influence your
don't
work. You
bother me.
want...
But people talking, even if I do listen
Yeah,
to radio,
yeah.
the DJs just, even if I like them, they still put you catch something, you think, oh, listen to
Yeah.
that. Then I'll put my pencil down and, you know.
But for you, Lawrence, I mean, I find I zone out if it's something like talking music, whether it's lyrics or not. I'm listening to music, not necessarily the lyrics.
I can't listen to, well, I don't listen to music anymore, so I listen to people talking, and it's kind of people that I don't really care about. So I enjoy, like, as I said, getting angry and then, well, I'm not listening to you anymore, and then, but I'll carry on working. When I was younger, I used to listen to music, and it didn't bother me then, but then I started finding, I didn't want to listen to like my tapes that I would make or whatever else, or put a CD on because I would know what would be next, and I'd end up the words would kind of start tangling around in my head. So I need something that is constant, but something I don't care to listen to. I cannot listen to I know some artists that listen to books and things like that, and I can't
I've always found that.
I can't do it because I need to focus on the page. I can't focus on like the person talking. So I want to hear people talking, but I don't care what they're
I
saying.
did an exhibition a couple of years ago for the Lakes Festival of record covers done by comic artists, like vinyl 12-inch record covers. So I was buying a lot of records for the exhibition, and I thought, I'd quite like to listen to some of these. So I had to go and buy. So I went and bought a turntable, and I already had like an amp of speakers that I've had since like 1988. The turntable, the kids messed it up when they were little,
Because they didn't know what it was.
So I had to go buy a new turntable. And then since then I've got hooked on buying vinyl. But I buy a lot of soundtracks.
Yes.
And every 20 minutes I've got to stand up and go and change the record over.
Yeah.
And it makes, I'll count that as exercise.
Yeah, it is.
But also, I'll put the record on and sit back down the drawer, and all of a sudden it's finished and I hadn't even noticed.
Right,
And
yeah.
I'll
That's
find
weird.
out.
Right,
But I don't
okay,
feel like I've missed anything because I can play it again, or it's only music. As if it was talking, especially an audiobook. How the hell do you do that?
Yeah.
You know.
I know that kind of Rob Williams, he's a writer,
Yeah.
and he listens to movie soundtracks when he's writing.
Oh, really?
And if he's
To get him in the mood.
To get him into the mood.
No, I don't do
Stuff
that.
Yeah,
that's
he
writing.
gets it to, so he wants a good soundtrack
Yeah.
to get him into the mood of what he's writing. As
Yeah,
well.
no, I don't need that because it'd only be crime soundtracks. No, it's, John Williams and stuff like that.
Layla Schifrin or...
Or just stuff that's had a nice cover on it. Me and Charlie Adler and Duncan Figueredo went to Tokyo Comic Con a few months ago.
Saw pictures of that.
Me
It
and,
looked
Charlie
amazing.
me and Charlie, before we went, we did loads of research where we could buy like Japanese jeans and where all the second-hand vinyl shops were. So we just dragged everyone else around there for a week. But we ended up buying, Charlie and I both bought like a stack of vinyl like this. Unfortunately, it's really heavy.
Yeah, 180 grams each, aren't they, nowadays?
Some are even thicker, like some really old ones.
Right.
But most of it, it's all soundtracks I bought.
Yeah.
And Charlie as well, I think. But a lot of it, we hadn't even heard of the film, but it had a really nice cover.
Yeah.
Nice illustration on it.
Well, Mondo do a lot of that, don't they? I think. They
Yeah, that's all new illustrators. They're all mostly, I don't really like many of them.
Oh, okay.
You're talking 60s then?
Yeah, I like 60s.
Yeah, Anand sort of thing.
I
Yeah,
tend-
like Lalo Schifrin.
Yeah, Lalo Schifrin.
Yes.
I tend to watch TV series when I'm working. I grew up watching movies,
I used to
and
go to all
watching
videos. I used to
TV
go to
and
all
stuff,
videos.
and I normally have the computer just sitting there watching stuff or watching TV while I'm
Does it
working.
have to be
away.
something you've seen before?
A lot of the time it's better because I don't want to have to really look at it.
Yeah.
It's like I'm playing it and I look up occasionally at my favorite bits.
Yeah.
But it's like I love westerns and stuff, so it's great watching those while I'm working away.
I do
'cause
stop
there's
for lunch
nothing
and
much
watch
happening in
Loose Women
westerns.
every day.
A lot of what was it?
I stop for lunch and watch
Really?
Loose
Oh,
Women
that's it.
every day.
Yeah.
Very informative,
Seriously?
very-
That's
very
when I
informative.
switch off.
when do you have lunch?
Loose women time.
Which is lunchtime.
My politics show.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll get you, I listen to him.
And Rob Williams also does it. And then we send text to each other about what's going on in the politics show at the same time. It's quite tragic, yeah.
I think I'm the tragic one.
No, I think there's nothing wrong with the guilty pleasure in the daytime. And of course, daytime TV is geared towards that.
Anything.
Guilt is...
I find myself watching that Find It, Flog It, and I won't say what I call it now, where you've got, the guy out of Brookside and someone from, and they just, because I think, I wonder if I could upcycle something like that. And you fight, and again, it's one of those programmes you watch the first 5 minutes, you tune in at the last 10 minutes, you know that's what they made.
Try and time it so like Homes Under the Hammers.
Can you draw while you're out?
No. And I try, I have to wait I have to watch the whole episode to see how they did at the end.
Yeah.
I know.
But I would never.
Oh, this is like a nightmare to me. This is the worst.
So you like
thing
daytime
ever.
TV, Sean?
No,
It's a secret I didn't realise. It's all coming out now.
Exclusive.
Loose women. Sean Phillips likes loose women. I knew you did, but
I like Colleen Nolan and Janet Street Porter guest on there. All the other ones are a bit irritating, but it's only when I'm having lunch.
Jeremy Kyle.
Yeah.
You don't stick to Jeremy Kyle then?
No, I can't watch
What
it.
I have discovered late afternoon, which I don't do, but I did discover, is that Streets of San Francisco is on.
Is it?
Wow, really?
Yeah. Columbo.
Oh, I know Columbo.
It's like I could go straight
like
back to
Columbo,
the 70s
like
and I feel like
Columbo
a
is
kid
like
watching
a
all this
thing.
stuff.
I do like
Mind,
Columbo.
that's all.
Kojak.
A friend of mine is a floor sander. Like with, school halls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he knocks off in time for Countdown every day.
Seriously?
Plumbing, that's all right.
Yeah.
Plumbing. So I suppose different people got different working methods, and I suppose you've got to have a stopping point, haven't you? And like you said, at lunchtime it might be a particular programme.
Yeah.
Later on in the afternoon, there's a reason why soap operas are on at a certain time. It allows people to watch other people's problems and just sit back
I
and
think
chill
as far
out.
as getting the work done, you need to keep to some sort of schedule because
Yes.
there's always a deadline.
Yeah.
And we've been doing it long enough now that we know that it's going to take a certain amount of time to get it done. So if I haven't done my 2 pages that day, I might work late to finish it.
Okay.
Or know that, God, I'm going to have to work on Sunday now.
Yeah.
But, it's sort of...
It can vary, I suppose,
I'm
depending on the
on
job.
quite a loose schedule at the moment. I only do a comic every 5 weeks, so I'm in 4 weeks. So I can fit in things like this. I mean, I missed Friday travelling or missed tomorrow travelling. And obviously I haven't done anything while I'm here, so you've got to factor all that in.
Are you still doing digital and physical painting? Are you still doing both at the same time at the moment?
I'm penciling digitally, printing it out in blue, and then inking with a pen.
Oh, well,
Just for a change. Only for the latest couple of
Just to give it a different look, slightly.
I've been purely digital for about 5 years, and I just got a bit bored with it. Well, actually, I was waiting to get a new Cintiq. Well, I was waiting to get a free one because I'm an ambassador of Wacom.
Oh,
Okay.
They've got loads of artists do it. Like me, Duncan and Charlie did it. We got involved through the Lakes Festival. My friend Julie runs the Lakes Festival in Kendal. And she's got Wacom involved with sponsorship. They lend us or give us Cintiqs, Wacom Cintiqs, for drawing on a tablet. And they come to they had a show, and they didn't ask for them back.
Oh, really?
So my kids' school got one, someone else got one,
Oh, really?
the art college got one and that, and then Jake, my son, got one. And I thought,
I'd like
but
one of
I
those.
didn't want one, I was waiting for the new ones to come out, the bigger ones. Because my old
You
one was
getting
like ancient.
greedy.
So, in the meantime, anyway, we became ambassadors. At one of the shows, Duncan did a little video with Wacom, and then me and Charlie had someone come to our houses and interview us.
Okay.
They're on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's like 50,000 views, my one has. I was thinking, I hope 100 people watch it, otherwise it'll be really embarrassing. I think it's mostly my mum just watching over every time someone comes around, look, Sean's on the telly. And in exchange, was meant to get free kit. But the guy who set all this up, they got fired by Wacom.
God,
Too
no.
much free stuff. So when me and Charlie and Duncan were in Tokyo
Yes.
6 months ago, there's a Wacom shop in one of the department stores. So we went and had a stroke of them, see how nice they were. And Duncan's like, because there's like, this is getting really techie, but I mean, it's all right for us lot. There's a 24-inch one
Yes.
and a 32-inch one. 32-inch one's like
Whoa,
this.
really?
And we all went in and goes, that 32 one, that's too big.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's perfect. And Charlie's like, well, yeah, I want a really big one, but he's building a house at the moment, so he's waiting to get his studio built, so he's got a big, cause he hasn't got a big enough desk to put it on yet. I mean,
Right,
it's
okay.
massive. And I just couldn't wait. I went back to my hotel room and tried to buy one online, but because I was buying something that was £3,000 while I was in Tokyo. Declined, so I had to wait till I got home. But when did I start talking about that? I can't remember.
size? I mean, I'm not digital at all, kind of thing. So the size difference.
Does size
Yeah,
matter?
it's
I think is your question.
No, but yeah, I mean, can you on the slightly small one? Can you get a full page on it, as it were? So
I can't get a full page on the big one.
oh, you can't.
No.
Right. Okay.
But you don't need to. You can have another window open that's got a full page thing you can look
Yeah.
at when you've got a different window.
I mean, as I said, I'm not digital at all, so this is.
No,
a
I mean,
naive
they
question.
do like one. I mean, I know Duncan does loads of stuff on the iPad.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
just
a lot
a
of people
regular,
seem to be
like
going
a-
that way.
One of the,
You know, he's drawn comics on iPad
Yeah.
before a lot.
Some people do covers now, purely on iPad. Don't
I
they?
can't. I find it a bit too slippery to work on, but
I mean, they've got a full Photoshop now for iPad.
Yeah, but also
It's
not
coming.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
coming.
yeah.
It's
it's
coming
coming
soon.
this year.
Yeah, so you can.
It's going to be
But you
amazing.
get Clip Studio,
I
which is
know.
like the manga,
Yeah.
you know, the drawing thing. You get that from iPad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Will work. I mean, I suppose with. I mean, you were talking at the Image panel about the younger creators coming up and all of that.
Yeah, they've all got that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, will workspaces change in the future
Well,
where you
yeah.
have got? I mean, a lot of my graffiti mates, if they're not spraying on walls legally, I hasten to add, they're doing it all on iPads.
You can have your whole year in a rucksack.
Well, Becky Cluner
Yeah, Becky
works in
does.
a
A lot
coffee
of people
shop,
go
isn't
around.
that right?
I mean, yeah,
She doesn't work
Becky
at home.
Becky
She
travels
literally
loads
draws in coffee shops.
I think she's got a house now. And
Oh, actually, I wasn't sure.
But
yeah,
Israeli.
but she
kind of
travels a lot
travelled around.
to
Really?
different shows
Yeah.
around the world. And I've seen, she's been tweeting saying, she's on a train with her iPad out,
Drawing
making
pictures,
a comic.
yeah,
You can do that,
it is
but
amazing.
I think it's a lot easier for younger, because you haven't had that habit of
Having it
doing
I
it
got you, yeah.
the old way,
But
I got into it because I thought, well, all the young people are doing it, I better get one too.
But you're saying
They sat there
Feed down with the
untouched for 2
kids.
years.
but then you're saying now, but you're kind of you kind of like still drawing on paper, is it?
Well, you can't beat pencil on paper.
I mean, I've not done the other side. As
Well,
it
no,
were,
but
so-
I mean, also I didn't have any original art for a couple of years,
Right.
or 4 or 5 years probably,
Yeah.
apart from the covers. I still painted the covers, and I just thought, well, I'd quite like to sell some art because
Yeah.
I've only got really old stuff,
Yeah.
and no one wants that anymore.
But I mean,
If
someone
I
like
found
Brian
out they don't
Boland
really
just
want
does
to do stuff
everything
It's all
digitally,
digital.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's because his eyesight's so bad that he has to do it.
Oh,
Is that
right.
what it is?
Yeah.
I didn't
Okay.
realise that. Well, his eyesight's that bad that he
It
can't.
just has to zoom in miles to get, and I think
Jesus.
maybe shaking hand as well.
I didn't realise that.
I mean, you can zoom in, so I can draw something. That
Yes,
I
of
can't-
course.
But
I look at old things I've drawn on paper and I think, God, my eyesight was miles better. How the hell did I manage that? Or my hand was so
Yeah,
had much more
yeah.
control.
But is there a danger in that though? Being obsessed in the
Oh, totally,
like
totally,
you know, pointing down line work that when you
Never
pull
should,
out
yeah.
you just realise.
No,
it
you can
doesn't
draw a
matter.
head that's going to print that big, and you've
Yeah.
drawn the pupils in the eye. And the
Yeah.
eye
Yeah,
and you can't help it. But it took me about, because I bought this Cintiq thinking I'll teach myself how to use it, but I was halfway through a long year project, so I couldn't go digital halfway through. So I thought I'd just do it in spare time. And but at the same time, Jake, my boy, was at art college. He goes, "Well, I can use a Cintiq." I said, "Okay." So he borrowed it for 2 years, taught himself how to work it, and then I came on to, I think it was the fade out the first thing I did digitally. I just got him to show me how to set it up.
Yeah.
I started page 1 on the Cintiq and just learned on the job and just did like the first 5 pages trying to figure out line weights because you can't tell on screen how it's going to print.
Yeah.
necessarily,
But Duncan done the same, didn't he? On
Yeah, he's just sort of like-
MPH, I think.
Yeah,
it
just
was.
jump straight in.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing
That's
about digital
scares the
stuff,
frick
Especially
out.
learning on the job, is that it?
the thing that
It's good to do that.
being both Duncan and I and Roy's comic, we don't draw in Photoshop, we draw in Clip Studio because it's got amazing 3D perspective grids. You can build, and your lines snap to the perspective, and it's just, you can see it in MPH with Duncan, all of a sudden there's 3-point perspective everywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's so much easier to do it digitally. And you still got to know what you're doing. And
Of course,
construct it.
yeah.
And me too, if I was drawing like this room here, normally there'd be like 1-point perspective, so everything would go to that point.
Right, yeah.
Now I could do it so it's 3-point perspective, so everything goes there, and then those lines goes there, and also it goes that as
Right,
well.
okay.
Really subtly. You need a ruler 20 feet long if you're doing it in real life, but so there's all those little bits that you can just, most people wouldn't even notice, but you can see by looking at people, all of a sudden they discover this new tool.
But I suppose you have to be in the profession maybe to sort of recognise these little tricks.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how much notice people take in the drawings and comics, really. No disrespect.
Well, I still do the
because
same
you get
thing.
caught up in the story and you don't really stop and look that intently, I don't think, unless you're another artist.
I think the price of comics nowadays, I buy my comics, I'm lucky enough to get them every Wednesday, and I look at the artwork first, then I decide which comic I'm going to read. Not necessarily based on the story,
Oh, really?
but based on the artwork. Yeah, and I've always done that. And
The first one, is the first one the one that you want because you enjoy it, or do you hold on so that the last one...
I I think nowadays I can't help myself. I read, you know, if Superman's coming out with Ivan Reis on it and Brian Michael Bendis, that's when I'll read straight away. There's no delayed gratification anymore for me, but it was that idea. Again, you had more time when you were younger. I'll put that one and I'll work my way towards that. And that way you're working your way towards your comics. You read your favourite comics first. Suddenly I've got a pile of comics I have still got to read.
Do you only buy on paper or do you buy digitally?
I buy on paper. I'm lucky enough, I get a lot of the image stuff because I do reviews and things. But again, that's beautiful because then I can decide I want that on paper.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot. It just seems to be better. Although digital helps at night when your missus is trying to sleep and you're trying to creep into the bed and read some comics. Yeah. But it's always paid for me, even though I've got no room in the house anymore. Yeah.
I mean, Sean, when you get your delivery of books, you know, in the books you order, do you say, I'm going to give myself half an hour later to look through?
No, I'll rip over the package and go, oh, it's really good. I'll look at it later, and then 2 years later, when it's at the pile of
and you forgot you had it.
Oh, God, yeah.
The thing is, I found books in my alcove. I forgot. I've got so many books in my flat, and I found a box.
You can see in Joel's book, you know, in my studio, there must be 3,000 books in there, probably. Not all.
Yeah,
they're not all. A lot of them are comic or graphic novels. All my like floppy comics are up in the loft. But then there's.
Is that what they're called?
Floppies,
yeah.
Such a
it's amazing. I'm so far out of it. Floppies, like floppy disks.
But so I buy digital. I don't buy.
Right.
The stuff I follow, like when I'm invested in the story. So like I don't know, Walking Dead. I read that every month, and even things like Love and Rockets, which I'll buy on paper later, but I can't wait until that book comes out.
I know,
so I buy it digitally. Some of the stuff I then buy again, if a hardback, I prefer a hardcover. If that comes out eventually, I can wait then because I've already read it. But there's stuff that I just read digitally once, and then I don't need to read it again, and I don't necessarily like the art that much that I need a paper copy that I can study.
Yeah. Right, we've got 5 more minutes where we've not asked any questions from the audience.
Is there any inspirational items in your studio you keep in your studio?
Only everyone else's comics. So I think, how am I going to draw that? Oh, I know someone's done that already. I can rip that off. What are all those toys you've got now?
Some figures.
Yeah.
I've got like a skeleton that you can move, kind of thing.
I've got a life-size skull which I'll look at occasionally.
Yeah, I've got a life-size skull.
Actually, I had one before.
You can't buy them now, can you? You can't buy the skeleton and the skull. They changed the law.
Oh, really?
I think
What?
you can't buy not plastic. I mean real
plastic.
skeletons.
I can't imagine these are that macabre.
Well, you say that, but
I know Brian
artists
Boland's
that do
got a
have- I
real
think
one.
Bradstreet had an actual real human skeleton.
I bought a skull years ago because I did a Batman 2 Facebook, and for half the skull I made like his scarred side out of plasticine.
Yeah.
Oh,
And with like a bit of like fake fur for the hair bit, and I'd be shooting a photograph of myself doing the acting, but also I'd take another photo of the skull lit the same, and so I could get the Two-Face.
Did it ever come to life at night?
No, the whole thing just eventually just dried out and fell off. It was disgusting.
I've done the same with a monster. So
Really?
I kind of rough out a monster, and then I go and get some kind of, I don't know, modelling clay, and I make that up just roughly, let that dry, and then I've got a rough, really rough version of it. You know, it's not going to win any awards, but it gives me a rough 3D feel of the monster that I create.
I just have my library of books of all my favourite comics that I got from God knows the dawn of time. It still sit there in their racks. And I mean, when I had to move home, because it was all stuff that was in the studio, and I set up my 3 walls of comics and books. So all my favourite artwork is now dotted around me in the books. And my television is there, and my tons and tons of DVDs and box sets and stuff like that, and that's my inspiration.
Have you got, because I've got like all my comics and all my books in like the studio, but I've got like a golden pile.
But there is, oh no, absolutely.
Like your golden pile
Is that got Batman Year One?
And that's got just that's quite thin. Your golden pile is a small thin amount.
Did
But
you
that's,
change it?
Yeah, I've got.
Take books out.
Special
No,
section.
But there's a golden. There's a golden.
There's also the plastic bag that you take out that has the remains. My Neil Adams X-Men
Which
series
means so much that it's
something
basically nothing left.
that it's in remains, even though I've got another copy of it.
Yeah.
But you sort of look at it and go, ah.
I stopped buying back issues for years, and then the writer on BPRD, John Akudi, got me into kind of old comics again. So I started buying, and I bought issues 50 to 100 of Fantastic Four, like really dog-eared collection.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So the way you're going to
Great,
afford
but I
it.
don't like them because they're dog-eared as well.
And they smell
And they
different.
smell,
Yeah.
and they're yellow, and they're rough, and there's bits ripped out.
And they have
I
great
bloody love
ads in it.
I bought
it's
some comics along to get signed by Roy Thomas and Steve Englehart.
Yeah.
And
Oh, not just me then.
some
good.
of them, like the 4 issues when Captain America turns into Nomad for the first time, which
Yes.
I bought in 1974, the original copies from then, I had to apologise that they were like, he goes, no, these have been obviously well enough.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
a couple of black and white Conan magazines with Roy to sign, but he had to sign inside because the covers aren't attached anymore. And there's like big chunks out of them and stuff like that. So, you know,
That's what comics
I love it when
Yeah.
people give me comics and they've had to take it out of their back pocket where it's been folded.
Yeah.
And sign that rather than like mint in a bag with like a little window cut out for a signature. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
They cut out windows.
Yeah, mostly dealers do.
Ah, I didn't realise.
So I always like to personalise them because I don't want anyone thinking I'm going to try and put them on eBay.
I don't mind. I don't care about personalised.
Yeah,
If they're
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Comic-Con, the International Festival of Comics here at Portsmouth and Portsmouth Guildhall. Just to make you aware of some times now. So at 1 o'clock in a couple of moments we will have Spotlight on Jamie Delaney.
We will. Is there another question? Because we can fit one more in a moment.
Panel 2 on the third floor. We have the power
We've only
of
got time to
leadership,
think of one anyway.
Pokemon as global gaming phenomenon. And on panel room 3, that's on the third floor. At 1 o'clock we have the Writing America, which is Alex Fitch and Chris Baker. And on our main stage for all those wonderful under-12s who have dressed up today for cosplay, it's the under-12s cosplay competition on the main stage outside in front of the main steps. So have a lovely afternoon. Don't forget there's plenty of places for you to get drinks and food at all of our kiosk stations. And we hope you have a lovely afternoon.
So that continuity announcer's got nothing to do for another 52 minutes or so. One more question, because we have got a few minutes. Well, that
can I ask this question?
If your studio was on fire,
Hold on, this-
sorry,
yeah.
To be fair, it's probably going to sound very similar actually. What would you say was your sort of like most prized sort of comic? Do you have like your mecca of like one particular?
What, for inspiration or just?
Yeah, or just
as
like
fans?
personal. Just if there's one comic that would be like.
What's the one you'd be buried with?
Well, I got it signed yesterday. It's Avengers 58 when even an android could cry when the Vision joins the Avengers.
yeah,
Which
wow.
I didn't buy it new because I wasn't even. Well, I was born then, but you know,
Yeah.
I'm not old enough. But I bought it a few years ago. Like Lawrence, I started buying on comics. A couple of years ago, I bought a spinner rack.
Yes! Looks fantastic.
Yeah.
So I filled it. I bought like Conan
I'm so
25 to
tempted.
100. But I'm gonna. I found out yesterday that Roy wrote up to number 115, so I might as well get the last 15 as well. Because I stopped at 100 because it was getting.
Yeah,
not
yeah.
as good as it was at the beginning. But yeah.
What would yours be, Lawrence?
You know what? It would change, chop and change. I do like artists called John Paul Leon. He done Challenges of the Unknown, and I think
Yeah.
that was
He's in that book. He's in the
really
book.
nice.
It's amazing.
So they would be
amazing.
close to me.
Did you go and see him?
No, it's an email interview.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
phone.
incredible.
It's phone actually in New York. But
And Will, what would yours be? I think you might have mentioned it already, have you? The Neil Adams one?
No, because it's in bits. The thing is, I'd be burnt alive because I couldn't get out
You wouldn't
the
let
ones
me
that I liked.
anything.
That would be the end of it, you know. Yeah, I'd be dead.
Oh, yeah, well, we
Totally
all
burnt.
live in total death traps. It's all that dry paper.
Basically, yeah.
They can go up like that.
Health and safety gone mad. Anyway, and on that, I always love these panels. Thank you so much for making it such a wonderful hour. It's gone by very, very quickly. Thank you very much for coming as well.
The book is available in the Silverlight table downstairs. Olly,
Yes.
thank you for hosting that.
Tables available. I've said you've only got a few copies
Just a
with
few
you,
left.
so I know
Before I
one
go down
person's
to the
got it.
table.
And
There's
get
enough
some
for everybody,
signatures as well.
Yes, indeed. Thanks very much. Thanks for everyone coming.
Cheers.